How's it going, YouTube? E30 Source, and today I'm going to show you how to replace your rear upper shock mounts. Okay, so some of the tools you're going to need your new upper shock mounts. These are the rear ones. These are actually relatively cheap. They're about $30 a pair. You're going to need a ratchet. I would recommend a 3/8 drive or a 1/2 inch. You're also going to need a good socket set or ratchets. I got some right here. So, optional but highly recommended, a gun, as well as a creeper if you need to roll around on the floor. I'd also recommend a great set of deep impact sockets, and they have to be in metric, obviously. And you're going to need a jack and 2 jack stands. I started with the right rear. I took the car and put it up on a jack, and then put a jack stand underneath. Then I pulled off the wheel and took down the lower shock bolt. With the shock left there hanging, I pulled back the carpet liner in the trunk and removed the 2 small nuts holding on the top part of the shock. With both of the nuts off, the shock fell to the ground. Now with the shock on the workbench, I loosely tightened it up in a vise, got out a 17mm wrench, and held down the top part of the shock with an adjustable wrench. And then just counterclockwise, I took off the nut. Now with the nut and washer taken off, the old mount can come right out. Mine are really worn out. All the rubber is basically gone off of it and gone very brittle and is coming off in little pieces. This is so dangerous to think that if that thing were to ever fall out completely, the shock would poke right through it and likely poke through the trunk. I just wanted to give you guys a comparison of the old one versus the new one. And that's part of the reason why it was so loud every time I'd go over a pothole, and it would basically sound like the window's going to fall out in the back. So it would, every time I did that, it would make that loud noise. So it's very nice now. And after driving around on the 2 new shock mounts, I can tell you the ride is a lot better. Then I put the washer and the nut back on and tightened it all down. It's ready to go. Then I put back on the 2 nuts that hold on the shock. And since my car is on a jack stand, I took my jack and put it underneath the control arm, and I lifted it up just a little bit so I was able to put the shock bolt back in. And then I rattled it back on with the gun. Then I put the wheel back on, and I was finished with the right side. I repeated the same process for the left side. And E30s are actually pretty easy to do this job on, and it should only take you about half an hour to 45 minutes if you work pretty quick. And those 2 nuts on the mount are a 13mm. And the whole assembly comes right out. The shocks don't seem to be in such bad condition, but the mounts were really worn out. So I'm glad I did this job, because it's definitely riding a lot better. And it's the same process. It's very easy to do this job, and it's actually pretty hard to screw up. So I'd recommend doing it as a little DIY project. And it's actually kind of fun. Here's a picture of what the old ones look like. And I'm so glad I did this job, because those things were beyond their lifespan. I mean, it could have been the smallest little bump or something, and that could have gone straight through the shock mount in the car, and then my car would have been basically gone. So I'm so glad I did this job. I'd recommend it to anybody who has basic mechanical skills, a little DIY job, and it is pretty fun, actually. So thank you for watching E30 Source, and stay tuned for more E30 videos.